Welcome to TSIB Talks, where we share information on construction insurance and its possible effect on your business. Enjoy our latest episode.
If you want to take this time real quick and just introduce yourself, that'd be great.
My name is John Chapman. I'm Vice President and Managing Director for TSIB. I've been in the industry 35 years, probably 20 years in construction, and another 15 years on this brokerage side with TSIB.
So, John, what is Co-Broker Plus?
Co-Broker Plus was devised to help regional and large brokerages, and even small brokerages if they have the clients, to help them do wraps or OSIPs or CSIPs, depending on their clients, when they don't have the expertise. So we have a very large wrap business here at TSIB. So we co-broker with anybody. We have some very large clients, and then we have some smaller brokerages, and they get to keep their clients without them going to one of the larger houses that do wraps. And we handle the administration piece for them, which allows them to share fees and keep the business in-house.
What type of projects qualify for a wrap or OSIP, CSIP?
It depends on the type of wrap. If it's two-line wrap, which just means that there's workers' comp and general liability and excess, you probably need at least $150 million, unless you're doing it in New York, and which is probably more like $250 to $300. And then there's another line of wraps called GL only, which is general liability only wraps. And those you can do much smaller. Mostly residential is what they do GL onlys for. You can do them as little as $5 or $10 million, housing projects and things like that. So it just depends on the type of construction and the size. It has to, pencil out, so to speak, in order to make sure that the financial viability works. But those are the general parameters.
Okay, now I know this doesn't really have to do with co-broker, but just for our listeners' sake, why would someone want to do a wrap?
Ones that I've been involved with, their main focus is generally to save money or they like to say make money, but they're not really making money. They're just saving money, the cost of the insurance program for that particular project. I like to get them to focus on the risk management piece because it's a much, much better risk management piece to insure a construction project than just traditional insurance. But there is a savings component to it as well, and that's typically what most of the clients focus on, is getting the project insured for less money.
So can you help a co-broker partner sell the program to a client, and do we go in as a team, or how does that really work?
Yes, it absolutely is a team. They're still the broker for their client. We never go outside of that relationship. Our contract is with the broker. Most of our clients have not sold these products, so they don't have resume, and that's the big thing. So they probably have the expertise in-house to market these things in the insurance marketplace, but they don't have any resume that says that they've done this. So when we combine forces, we use our resume, our construction experience, and our relationships with the marketplace that do these particular products, and they can either take on the marketing themselves, and we'll help them with the submission, and we'll help them get introduced to the right carriers that handle this stuff. Or we can do the whole thing. We can do the marketing and we can do the actual admin. But most of them like to do the marketing because they have the insurance knowledge. They just don't have the right connections, and they don't have any resume. So we absolutely, it's one of the things that set us apart from just a third-party administrative firm, is that we not only do that, we have a service center that does that, but we also can talk about construction because we have a construction background, and we know all the exposures that are presented with the project, so we can help them with loss control and claims. So at the end of the day, it's up to the broker that we work with as how much we contribute or we don't contribute, but most of them really appreciate being able to use our vast resume as a team to prove to the client that we can do this, because we have over 1,000 completed projects at this point. So yes, we almost always go in as a team.
Now, you mentioned providing contracts in these situations. Who holds the contract with the client?
The broker that comes to us has the contract with the client, and we have a contract for a scope of services with the broker that outlines what we're going to do, similar to what I just went over. We're going to do a feasibility study. We're going to do some type of risk control for them. We're going to reach out to the marketplace or not. And whatever that scope of services that we've agreed to with the broker, that's the contract or the agreement that we have. We almost always do, well, not almost always, we always do the administration piece of it, because that's something that most brokers do not have. They may have the ability to market the program and place the business, but very few brokers in the country have a service center. If they don't, then they end up going to a third party, which is where we started, because we do have our own service center that handles administration.
So focusing on TSIB and our involvement in all this, how much experience does TSIB have in these programs, and how long have we been co-brokering with other firms?
Well, on the first question, we've been doing these programs for around 20 years plus, because the brokerage has been in business 20 years, and we've been doing them since TSIB has been formed. But some of us in our prior relationship did them outside of that. So we have people in the firm that have more than 20 years experience of it, but with TSIB, we've been doing these programs for 20 years. Been co-brokering for about 10 years now. The first one was a project we did in Hawaii, and since that time we've probably put in another 10 to 15 projects with multiple other co-brokers.
Now, someone who wants to get into co-brokering and all this, would they have to have some experience in these programs?
No, some of them don't have any experience with them at all, which is why they contact us. I just had met with somebody last week who he has no knowledge of how these programs work, went to some of the major firms, and none of them wanted to co-broker with him. They said they don't do that. And then he was referred to us, and now we're helping him with a program. And he has really very little involvement from the standpoint of the technical side of things, but our broker partner is, the main source of the relationship with the client.
Now, you touched on compensation and splitting fees throughout this. How exactly does the compensation on these programs work, and how are these fees split?
Well, that's determined with each project based on how much scope we do or don't do. But just, traditionally in the insurance marketplace, there is a fee to place the business, to go out and market the business with the carriers. And there's a secondary fee for the administration piece of it, which we get from our service center. And really, it depends on our involvement, and each one of those can be split in any number of ways. It just depends on how much involvement that we have on the project.
Can a broker partner still market the program and have TSIB do the administration?
Yes, we have a number of those arrangements. And it can range from they have the experience to do all of it and they really don't need our help, or we will help them by introducing them to carriers that they may not have relationships with. We can do feasibility studies for them if they're not familiar with how to do a financial feasibility study on one of these projects. We've helped them with the excess piece of it, because in these programs you're going to have tremendous excess layers, and they may or may not have submissions because the exposures are very unique to these programs. So even if they decide to market it, we're still helping them. We don't charge them for that. We'll help them by the introductions. We'll help them with feasibility studies. We will help them with contractual risk transfer, all of those things that we do on a daily basis that they may not have expertise in. We'll definitely help them in that, and we don't charge for those services.
You talked about marketing and how TSIB's marketing gets involved in this. Does TSIB have marketing materials they can share with co-broker partners?
Yes, we have a lot of marketing materials, both on the marketing of the actual insurance programs and marketing these particular programs to clients that we can share with them. We have, even by construction segment, we have enough projects that we've done on airports, for example, or we have enough projects for high rises or hospitals. We have segments and we have sell sheets for each one of those that we can share with our co-broker partner. We go into these programs as teams. So that's one of the big benefits for our partners, is that now they have that same resume that we have, because we're going in as a team. So if it's an airport, we have done airports. If it's a hospital, we've done hospitals. If it's some type of sports facility, we've done those. So that's, again, one of the big advantages of using our firm, is that we have so much resume that our marketing department has put together for this, and we absolutely share that with our co-broker partner.
Does TSIB have their own service center to administer these programs?
We do. We have a service center that's been in place for many years now, that I think the last time I asked, they're doing close to $7 or $8 billion a year in construction volume. They have at any one time 200 to 300 projects, active projects in the service center. And I'm being biased, but I think they're one of they're best in class and how they handle these things. So that's a huge benefit for us when we're out because most of the brokers, the first thing they need, even if they have the ability to market something, is they don't have the ability in-house to do admin. So that's what they're looking for. And that's how we really started. And then when we, encountered clients that didn't know how to sell them, didn't have any resume, it just kind of transferred into all the other services that we provide. But our core business in Co-Broker Plus is the administration piece, and we do have a service center that handles that.
Would you say that that is one of the ultimate reasons of what differentiates TSIB from other third-party administration firms, or is there anything additional?
It's more the ability for us to do the third party and help the client, the broker client, sell the project to their owner. Other third-party administrative services just do the administrative piece of it. They don't have the construction piece, and they don't have a brokerage attached to their businesses. They're just third-party. And I don't say just in a negative term, but they're just third-party administrative. And some of them do great jobs. But what we do is that, plus we can help them sell the project, and we can provide risk management services because of our skill set for contractual risk transfer when you're trying to put the contract in place with the general contractor and the owner. We can help them with that. We can help them with all of the relationships that they're going to need to market this that they may not have in-house. Feasibility studies, all those things that we do to help the client get ultimately this thing placed. Other third-party administrative people don't have that capability. So the things that sets us apart is we can do the administrative piece very easily, but we can also help in all those other areas that the brokerage is going to need in order to place it.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have today. So I just want to take a moment to thank you for being on this episode, and I appreciate it. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners did too.
Thanks, Dom. It was my pleasure. So if anybody out there has any questions about how Co-Broker works, to reach me, you can send an email to contact@tsibinc.com. And then I will reach out, and hopefully you'll be my next co-broker partner.
Thanks for listening to this episode of TSIB Talks. If you like this content, be sure to follow for new episodes. Until next time.